Uh, Good morning, everyone. Can you guys confirm if you guys are hearing me? Okay. I want to welcome you to another lecture today. Today, I'm actually gonna be walking you through another exciting topic in statistics that we call design with covariates. And of course, this can be found in the chapter 7 of the textbook, of the recommended textbook. Now, another name for design with covariates, we can actually call that analysis of covariance. Okay, so we can also call that analysis of covariance. Okay, now you remember the other time that we did analysis of variance. Okay, you remember the other time that we did analysis of variance. Okay, now let me tell you this. The analysis of covariance is a combination of the analysis of variance and regression analysis. Oh, can you guys confirm if you're seeing what I'm projecting right now? Can you confirm that? Okay. Now, what I'm trying to talk about is the combination of the analysis of variance and the analysis and the regression analysis is what we actually call analysis of covariance. Now, let me quickly remind you of what we did in regression analysis. I'm also going to remind you of what we did in analysis of variance. And of course, that will enable you to see how we can combine the two to be able to, you know, uh, to be able to have the analysis of covariance that I'm talking about. Okay. Now, if I want to talk about multiple linear regression, of course, I'm actually going to have one dependent variable. I mean, the response variable that is continuous in nature. And of course, we're going to have uh, the continuous predictors as well. Okay. And of course, we can have situation whereby, uh, a particular predictor could be categorical as well. You've heard about dummy regression, right? Okay. So, in multiple linear regression, of course, you could have more than one predictor variable where you actually want to use that to predict the response, okay, based on the relationship they have. Now, that is regression analysis. Now, for analysis of variance, on the other hand, we are also looking at the effects of, predictor on response. Only that the, uh, the response has to be continuous and the predictor have to be categorical. Okay, the predictor have to be categorical. Okay, now, and you know that uh, in analysis of variance, we actually compare groups, right? The levels of predictor is the numbers of levels of the predictor is the number of groups that we actually want to compare. And you know what? In the analysis of variance, we could have one factor, we could have more than one factor. You remember what we did last time, where I walk you through two-way analysis of variance. Of course, in two-way analysis of variance, you actually have two factors, two categorical factors. Okay, each of them has levels. Okay, and of course, I walk you through uh, two-way analysis of variance with interaction and without interaction. Of course, you know that, right? Okay, now Let us now go into analysis of covariance. I told you the other time, we need to combine. The analysis of covariance has to do with combining uh, regression and knowledge of regression with the knowledge of analysis of variance. Now, because of that, in regression analysis, we have continuous dependent variable. You know that? In both regression analysis and in analysis of variance, we have the dependent variable is continuous in nature. I think you know that. And of course, you know that in regression analysis, we also have continuous predictors, right? We have continuous predictors in regression analysis. In analysis of variance, we have dependent variable and we have categorical predictors that we call factors. Therefore, in the same model, we actually going to have the combination of the categorical predictors and continuous predictor. Okay. Now, when you are looking at these three together, of course, we are actually talking about analysis of covariance. Oh, can you guys confirm if you guys are hearing me? Okay, thanks for confirming that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about right now, what is the difference between analysis of variance and analysis of covariance? The difference between analysis of variance and analysis of covariance is covariate. Let's talk about covariate right now. What do we mean by covariate? Of course, covariate can be defined as characteristics of the respondent, of the participants in an experiment. When I talk about characteristics of respondents, I'm actually going to give you an example right now. I want to stop my share and I'm actually going to, I'll give you an example on the difference between analysis of variance and analysis of covariance. Okay? Can you guys give me just 1 second? Okay, thanks. Are you guys hearing me now? Okay, thanks for confirming that. Okay, now I'm going to stop this share right now because I actually want to, explain the difference between analysis of variance and analysis of covariance. I want to give you an example, okay, how you can distinguish between the two. Now I'm going to have a new share right now. I'm going to share my whiteboard, and I need you to confirm if you're seeing my whiteboard. Can you confirm right now if you guys are seeing my whiteboard? Okay, thanks for confirming that. I'm going to give you an example from 3 areas. Number 1, I'm going to give you an example from education. Number 2, I'm going to give you an example from drug development. Okay, I want to give you an example from drug development. Number 3, I also want to give you an example from probably certain example auditing example. Okay, because of the drug development, I think I'm so happy today because of the fact that we got a news that the COVID vaccine is now working so well. That's a good news. Okay, that's as a 90%, more than 90% benefit. So that's a good news. Okay, I told you the other time we actually going to defeat COVID, and I know COVID will be defeated. So just to tell you the development today about the success recorded uh, in the vaccine. Okay, I want to go back into the three examples that I want to cite right now. And I want to use this opportunity to tell those of you who have not seen data for your projects, probably you could benefit from what I want to explain today. Maybe that could give you a clue. It doesn't really matter whether you've submitted a topic before. It doesn't really matter. You got nothing to lose, because I know getting data in the middle of pandemic could be tedious. And that is the reason why practical 1 and 2, I actually, the deadline is elastic. Okay, I'm flexible. Okay. Now, can you guys confirm if you guys are still hearing me clearly? Okay. Like I said, I want to cite example from these three areas, and I'm actually going to start from education right now. Okay. I'm going to start from education right now. Now, let us assume that we actually want to compare, uh, three uh, method of teaching. Okay. Okay. We are, uh, comparing the effects, okay, of three teaching styles or teaching methods. Okay, let me say teaching methods. Okay, on the on student performance, on student performance, on students performance. Okay, on student performance in mathematics. Oh, can you guys see what I wrote clearly? Can you guys see that? We're trying to compare the effect of three teaching methods on student performance in mathematics. Okay, of course, you get your the response variable is actually student performance, which is continuous. It's actually going to be the score in mathematics. Okay, and of course, we got that they were actually taught using different approach. Now, what we actually want to do is to see whether the average performance of these three groups are the same. Of course, if you want to do that, you're actually going to use analysis of variance. Are you guys still hearing me? Okay, but you know what? There is something that is missing here, because analysis of variance may not do the job. The reason why analysis of variance may not totally do the job is because of the fact that there exists another potential factor that could actually determine performance of students in maths. Here we have not put into consideration the nature of students, because we cannot randomly assign students to classrooms. Students cannot be randomly assigned to classroom. There are different categories of students. There are some students that are gifted. Okay, give me 1 second. We got some students that are gifted in mathematics, gifted, and we have another that are mainstream. Okay, mainstream. Okay, now when you put into the analysis of variance, we are actually as when analysis of variance will not control this effect. The analysis of variance, we just assume that students the nature of student is the same. But if you put into consideration that the nature of students, is not the same. Some are gifted, some are mainstream. Of course, you are incorporating covariates into the analysis of variance model. Incorporating covariates into analysis of variance model, that becomes analysis of covariance. Are you guys hearing me? Okay, now that becomes analysis of covariance. Okay, so that is this is one of the example. Now if you adjust for covariates, you remember the other time when we were dealing with multiple linear regression, where we actually we control some covariate. You remember that the model was able to gain efficiency, okay, by doing that, right? Okay, that's exactly what we're also doing. The same thing right here. We're not just comparing the teaching method alone, but we're putting into consideration the fact that students are not equally talented as far as mathematics is concerned. Okay, now the next example that I want to talk about right now, I'm going to have a new share again. The next example I want to talk about, I've given an example on education. The next example I want to talk about, I actually want to give an example under drug development. Okay, under drug development, for instance, we are proposing a new drug. Okay, a new drug. Okay, and you know what? This new drug actually have levels. Maybe, for instance, you have 3 levels of the new drug: A, B, C. Okay, of course, this guy here is the experimenter, right? That is the experimental group. Okay, and of course, maybe you have placebo. Okay, which probably D. I'm going to call that level D. Okay, and of course, this is control group. Okay, so it means in general you got 4 levels, right? You got 4 levels in general. Okay, now maybe the drug you are proposing, the new drug we're proposing, you want to look at the effect of this drug on depression. I'm going to write that now. Depression. Okay, you want to look at the effect of this drug on depression. Okay, of course, if you want to do this, this is analysis of variance. But you know what? There is something that is missing. Okay, because when you are trying to look at the effects of new drug on depression, depression level here is actually going to be response, which is a continuous random variable. And of course, we got a single factor that has 4 levels. Okay, now there's another potential factor that may be related to depression that we actually need to adjust, we need to control, and that factor is job status. Okay, you need to consider job status. Okay, you need to consider job status. Okay, because what can actually lead to depression could be job status. Okay, that could then another thing that could lead to depression, maybe drug use. Okay, drug use, okay, could also lead to depression. Okay, so situation whereby, so what I'm trying to talk about now, job status, drug use are the covariates. Okay, these covariates, they are believed to have a potential influence on depression, though they are not of primary of interest to you, but you actually want to control that in the process of looking at the effect of drug on depression. Okay, so if you look at what I have right here, this is an example. So situation whereby you are actually putting into consideration covariate, you are incorporating covariate into analysis of variance model. Then we have what we call analysis of covariance. And you know what? What do you stand to gain? There's going to be a gain in precision. There's going to be a gain in model efficiency. Okay? And we find ourselves in a world where we actually want to we know that model is not the same thing as reality, but we want a situation whereby uh, the gap between model and reality is actually going to be very, very small. So when you consider potential variable that could have effects on, uh, you know, on the response, in addition to the categorical predictor, of course, your model could be improved upon. So this is analysis of covariance. Now, I'm actually going to go into another example right now. Okay, I'm going to go into another example right now. And the last example that I actually want to give is actually going to come from auditing. Uh, can you guys see my handwriting very well? Can you guys see my handwriting? Okay, that is auditing. Oh, give me 1 second. I think I need to write legibly, but pardon me for that. Okay, auditing. Okay, now if an accounting firm, okay, an accounting firm, okay, an accounting firm, okay, is interested, okay, is interested, okay, in comparing, okay, three, three method of training, three method, three methods of training their staff. Okay, they want to compete. They want to consider three method of training their staff. Okay, and you know what? What do they actually want to compare in the three method? Okay, they want to compare what we call proficiency in auditing. Okay, proficiency in auditing. Take a look at that. Proficiency in auditing is the response. Okay, because they actually want to train statistical auditors. Okay, they want to train statistical auditors, and they are considering three methods. And at the end of the day, they want to compare the proficiency in auditing across, the levels of the training. Now, what are the levels of this training? I'm actually going to give you the levels of the training right now. Okay, uh, the levels of the training that we want to talk about, there are three methods. There are three methods of training proposed. Hey, that is, staff that are trained at home. Okay, okay, staff receiving, okay, training, staff receiving training at home. Okay, with materials provided. Okay, with materials. Okay, B, okay, B, staff doing training, okay, in local office. Staff doing training in local office with local staff. Okay, C, staff of doing training, okay, in Chicago office. In Chicago office, okay, with national staff. Okay, with national staff, Okay, because Chicago is believed to be their national office. Okay, now these are the three levels of training. Okay, now uh, maybe after the training, you are, of course, you assign your staff randomly to these three groups. Okay, you assign your staff randomly to these three groups, and after the training, you actually have a measure of the proficiency uh, or auditing level. Okay, as I mean their proficiency in auditing. Okay, you measure the level, you measure that. Okay, and you now compare across group. Then you are doing analysis of variance. But you know what? That is not going to be totally correct, because you need to put into consideration what was the proficiency level of this staff before going for training at all. I'm going to say that again. You know, you are not only going to consider, you are not only going to measure their proficiency level after the training, you're also going to do that even before the training. Now, when you do that before the training, okay, when you do that before the training, then it means what I'm actually going to have right now, I'm actually going to have a record of measurement of their proficiency uh, level uh, pre, before, and after. That is a pre and post. I'm going to have some values. The analysis of variance, we only consider the post, the proficiency level after training. That is what analysis of variance is going to, is going to consider. But you know what? You know, the analysis of covariance, we put into consideration this, the, their proficiency level, in auditing before the training. That needs to be adjusted. That is going to be the initial proficiency or level in auditing. And that has to be put into consideration. Did you see that now? So by the time, so this guy here is is the covariate that I talk about, because this guy here may have effects on the response that we're talking about. Okay, they will have effects, because we want to believe that before the training, individuals are not the same in terms of their levels of proficiency in auditing. It's not going to be the same even before they undergo a training, and that has to be put into consideration. And that is the reason why analysis of covariance will incorporate this covariate into analysis of variance model, now thereby leading to what I call analysis of covariance. Did you guys get that? Or can you confirm if you understand the three examples that I just cited right now on the... Okay, so thanks for confirming that. I'm actually going to go back into the material right now. And that was the reason why I said, okay, before you collect your data on the characteristics, before you run an experiment, okay, you could use that data to see how treatments affect different groups or population, okay? Or you could use the data to control the influence of any covariate. If the covariate has influence on the response and you don't control that, then you're going to have a model that is misleading. Let me tell you this. At times, before we can get things right, of course, it may take us a long time. That's one thing with science. But at the end of the day, we're going to get it right. Okay? And we got to make sure that we're using the right model. Most of the time, our models are not failing us, but we are the one that we have not really understand the state of nature. When we understand the state of nature very well, then we're actually going to use an appropriate model. Now, what I'm trying to tell you right now, in a situation whereby we are looking at the effects of a categorical factor on a continuous response, and if there exists a potential continuous factor that could have effects on the response, then we need to adjust that, and that's what we call covariates. Okay, that is what we call covariates. And that was the reason why I said right here, covariate is not of interest, primary of interest. Okay, the main primary of interest to us is just the factor, the categorical factor. But you know what? If it is related, if a covariate is related to the response, then we actually need to adjust for that. Okay, we also call that an unwanted confounding variable. Okay, because when you are looking at the effects of a factor on another variable, and if there's an hidden factor that you don't adjust, if there's an hidden factor, then that will be, you are not going to have a very good result, and therefore you need to add that covariate to your model for you to be able to have your model improve upon, because that will increase the accuracy of your results. So which means in this situation, analysis of covariance is preferable to analysis of variance. Okay, now let us now go into the objective. What are the objectives of analysis of covariance? I want to tell you this. In analysis of covariance, we actually want to compare, okay, means across groups, okay, by adjusting for another potential variable that have the effect of the response, which is continuous in nature. Okay, so we need to adjust that, though that particular variable that we talk about, it is not of primary of interest to us, but it needs to be adjusted for us to have our model improve upon. Therefore, how are we going to do that? How are we going to achieve that? Then what we're actually going to do, we're actually going to combine the knowledge of analysis of variance with the knowledge of the regression analysis to be able to talk, to adjust for that. So which means analysis of covariance is a combination of analysis of variance and analysis and the regression analysis. Are you guys still hearing me? Okay, thanks for confirming that. Now let us now go into assumptions of analysis of covariance. I told you before, every statistical model has assumption, because a model is as good as assumption put into a model. Now, what are the assumptions of analysis of covariance? Number one, take a look at, right now, I'm going to call Y response. Okay, I'm going to call Z factor that is categorical, the predictor that is categorical, and I'm actually going to call X covariate. Okay, and this covariate right here, this is covariate, and this covariate is continuous. Okay, this guy is a factor that we also call treatment. It's categorical. Okay, factor or treatment. Okay, it's categorical, and this is response. Okay, now number one assumption is that the covariate must be related to response. before you can consider analysis of covariance model, the covariate, the hidden variable, we also call it concomitant variable. Look at that, concomitant. Okay? We also call it a name that I don't like using. We also call it nuisance variable. Okay? We also call it unwanted variable because it's it is not a variable of primary of interest. Okay? Now, assumption is that the relationship must exist between the response and the covariate. Now, number two assumption is that covariate should not be related to the treatment. You remember in multiple linear regression, when you have more than one predators, we say that the predators must not be related, right? You remember multicollinearity, right? Even in the analysis of covariance, there must not be a relationship between covariate and the treatment. The treatment is a factor that's categorical in nature. The covariate is continuous, that we believe that have effects on the response. Okay? The two of them must not be related. We got a way to show that. We got a way to investigate that. Okay? Okay. And that was why I said, if Y is related to X, then the variance of the treatment differences is increased relative to that obtained from an analysis of variance model without X, which results in a loss of precision. Okay? If a concomitant variable, okay, if a nuisance variable, if a covariate is related to the response, and you ignore that, if you go ahead to use analysis of variance, there's actually going to be a loss in precision. Your model will not be accurate. Okay? We got a way to investigate this assumption. Okay, the next thing that I actually want to talk about right now is number 3. The treatment regression equation are linear in the covariate. Linear in the covariate in the sense that I'm actually going to have a scatter plot of response against the covariate at different levels of the factor, which means if I have 4 levels, I'm actually going to have 4 regression lines. If I have two levels, I'm actually going to have 2 regression lines. Therefore, the relationship should be linear. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. It shouldn't be non-linear. It should be linear. Okay? Though in some situation we can accommodate non-linearity, okay, like polynomial terms, transforms, but only that the analysis will be more complex. So because of the complexity, okay, because of the complexity of having a non-linear structure, when you're talking about analysis of covariance, and that is why we normally want the treatment regression equation to be linear in the covariate. Okay, now the last assumption is that since we're going to have so many regression lines depending on the number of levels in the categorical variable, then assumption is that the regression lines for different treatments should be parallel. What do we mean by parallel? This line should not meet. We got a way to investigate that. And how can we investigate that? The knowledge of two-way ANOVA for interaction will be used right here. The knowledge of two-way ANOVA for interaction will be used. Because in the situation whereby the interaction is significant, then that's a violation here in the analysis of covariance. Okay? And we got a way to investigate this. I'm going to go into an example right now. But you know what? Before going into an example right now, this is very close to what I did in my bachelor program. I did two before the bachelor program, I did a sub-degree program. You remember I told you before, in my sub-degree program, I actually work on multivariate analysis, or regression, multiple regression analysis, where I look at the effects of exchange rate, uh, inflation rate, and consumer price index on the GDP of a country called Nigeria. Okay, now in my bachelor program, I actually work on the analysis of covariance. And what did I do in analysis of covariance? I look at the effects of some selected treatments on the weight gaining ability of peaks. I work on peaks, the weight gaining ability of peaks. But what makes it analysis of covariance is because before I actually assign peaks to different levels of treatment, I measure their weight. Okay, I measure their weight, which I have what we call initial weight of the animal. I don't only consider the final weight, because the analysis of variance, we only consider the final weight of the pigs, of the animals, after you have given them different kind of treatments. And a situation whereby the initial weight has effects on the weight gain, of course, if the initial weight has the effect on the final weight, then you need to be able to incorporate covariates into the model. That was exactly what I did in my bachelor program. Are you guys still hearing me? Okay, now take a look at this example right now. In this example, this is similar to what I did. But the difference between what I did and what I'm seeing right now is just that we consider the same dependent variable, which is weight gain. Okay? But only that in this example, they get two categorical factors. Look at the two categorical factors. Factor A has two levels. That is the level of the protein in the diet. Because the levels of protein in the diet is very, very crucial, to the weight gain of animal. Okay? And the levels could be high or low. Okay? And the factor B is the source of protein. Okay? And the source of protein has three levels. It could be beef, cereal, or pork. Okay? And the covariate now is this guy here, which is the initial weight of the animal. The initial weight of the animal before we actually assign them to these two factors. That is very, very crucial. When you consider the final weight of the animal alone, you are doing analysis of variance. But when you put into consideration the initial weight of the animal before you give them this treatment, of course, you are incorporating covariate into analysis of variance model, and you are now going to have what we call analysis of covariance. And that, this is more or less similar to the example I cited the other time about an auditing firm, an account firm that is trying to compare different levels of training for statistical auditors. Okay? Where it put into consideration the proficiency level, the proficiency auditing level of the staff before the training. This is more or less the same as that. Okay, so this is another example of analysis of covariance. Okay, now take a look at this now. How do we differentiate between regression analysis, ANOVA, and analysis of covariance? Analysis of covariance is ANACOVA. We can, some people abbreviate that as ANACOVA, some people abbreviate that as ANCOVA. Is the same as analysis of covariance. Now, in the analysis of covariance, whether you are talking about multiple linear regression, analysis of variance, analysis of covariance, the dependent variable is the same. The dependent variable is continuous. But what distinguishes analysis of variance from the analysis of covariance from the multiple regression analysis is the independent variable that I call predictor variable. In multiple regression, independent variable must be continuous. In the analysis of variance, independent variable must be categorical. In the analysis of covariance, then the independent variable has to be the combination of both the categorical variable and the continuous variable. Can you see that now? And that is the reason why I said the combination of analysis of variance and multiple regression is the analysis of covariance. Okay, and you know what? It is possible to treat categorical independent variable in multiple regression using dummy variable. We did that as well. We have some multiple linear regression model that have both the continuous and the categorical. You remember we did something like that before as well. Okay, so I don't also rule out that. Okay, because there are some multiple regression model that have the combination of categorical predictor and continuous predictor. You remember that we did something like that, right? Okay. This is a multiple regression model. Take a look at that. This is analysis of variance model. Okay, where you have one or two-way analysis of variance with interaction. I think you remember that, where you have factor A, factor B, and you have the interaction. Okay. Now, this is the analysis of covariance. What are we doing here? We are combining, analysis of variance model with the regression model. This is a regression model. This is analysis of variance model. They are combined in the same model. This is analysis of covariance model. Can you see that now? You can see that now? So the combination of analysis of variance, what am I combining here? The analysis of variance that I'm using is a two-way ANOVA with interaction. I'm combining that with the multiple linear regression. Take a look at that. This is analysis of covariance model. This is where I'm actually going to stop today because I'm going to continue with this material on Wednesday. But you know what we're going to do on Wednesday? Application. I'm going to show you table. I'm going to show you how you can do that in R. Okay, different kind of example. I'm going to show you data, and I'm going to show you, walk you through application, how you can do that in R. Take a look at that. Can you see that now? Okay. Is there anyone who want to ask question before I go today? Is there anyone? And look at data here. For some of you that have data issue, it doesn't matter whether you have submitted your practical one. This is data here they can use. I'm flexible. I know we're in the middle of pandemic, that it may be difficult for you to get data. And that is the reason why the deadline for practical 1 and 2 are elastic. I'm so flexible. Okay? So, because it doesn't really matter if you've submitted practical 1 and you can change your mind. You are not going to lose your score. Okay, so is there anyone who will ask question before I go today? Is there anyone? Are you guys still hearing me? Can you confirm if you guys are still hearing me? If you really understand today's lecture, can you comment? Oh, okay. Somebody said I have a question. Can you go ahead? Yeah, go ahead with your question.
Hi. I just have a question regarding Practical 2. So right now the assignment is locked for me on Canvas, and how do you want me to submit it? Because I think you said you extend the deadline, right? Or like even if I change my mind, how can I submit Practical 2?
Sorry about that. I think if I hear you clearly, you said I said I claim I've extended practical 2, but right now you is locked on Canvas. But I want to confirm to you, I've already unlocked that. I've extended
Uh,
that. So you can go back to have your submission. Does that make sense to you now?
I think I checked yesterday and it's still locked. Let me check it again.
Yeah, you can check it again. If you check it again and it's still locked, I'm going to have it revisit. I'm going to revisit that.
Oh, okay. It's open now. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, okay.
Nice.
You're welcome. Is there anyone who want to ask question again or any clarification or any have concern? If you understand what I've taught today, I need you to comment yes. If you really understand everything that I've taught today, oh my God, good job. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Okay, good job. Uh, this is where I'm actually going to stop today. Until Wednesday, again, that I'm going to come your way with another exciting topic in statistics. Please make sure you stay safe. And for those of you who need clarification, uh, who want to ask question, of course, you can meet with me during my office hour tomorrow. I'm actually going to have my office hour tomorrow between the hours of 10 to 12. Make sure you stay safe and have a good day. Bye for now, guys.